Cloudy skies overhead, but the sun appears to be breaking through here at Pheno Field, the home of the Milford boys varsity baseball team, as well as the site of this edition of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Hello, everybody. Anthony Mazzini alongside my broadcast partner, Tim Coette, and we should have an exciting matchup for you today. Milford High School versus King Philip High School, and this one is going to be a good game. Both teams are in need of a win. Let's start with Milford. They clinched a playoff berth with their 10th win versus Hopedale back on May 12th, but since then, they've lost 2 straight games. North Attleboro 9-2 a couple weeks ago, followed by, more recently on the 18th of May, a 5-3 loss to Catholic Memorial. This is a Milford team that hasn't played since last Thursday on the 18th against Catholic Memorial. They were supposed to play on Monday against Sharon, but that game was rained out. They are making that game up now on Saturday, but now Milford, having nearly a week off, now plays an average King Philip team that comes into the game 9-10 on the season, and they need 1 win to clinch a playoff berth. More recently for King Philip, back on Monday, they lost to Franklin 5-0. They were shut out against the Panthers. So this is a King Philip team that is playing for their playoff lives. A win and they're in, a loss and they go home. This is their last game of the season, so they don't have another opportunity. They need a win today if they want to continue their season. So as I bring in my broadcast partner, Tim Coette. Tim, for different reasons, these are 2 teams that desperately need a win here today at Pheno Field.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And on the King Philip side, it's a little bit surprising to see KP in the situation that they're in now based on how they started the season. You take a look at their schedule. They won 5 out of their first 6 games. It looked like they were in prime condition, I should say, to contend for perhaps a Kelly Rex Division Championship, which they won just a season ago. But a lot of prolonged losing streaks, including a 4-game losing streak that they bring into the ball game here this afternoon. So King Philip really with their backs up against the wall. And for Milford, it looked like they were in coast mode here, very confident going into these final games of the season after they clinched that playoff berth. But it's been a little bit of a rough stretch here, as you mentioned, with the 2-game skid against North Attleboro, who just has really stymied Milford this season, and then a tough non-conference loss as well. Milford playing well, but coming up on the losing side of that 5-3 game to Catholic Memorial. So 2 teams looking to bolster their spot in the standings. For King Philip, really just trying to get their way into the tournament, and for Milford, they really want to get that home playoff game if they can in the first round.
And Tim, you mentioned King Philip started off this season very hot. One of those games was actually against Milford way back in the first game of the season on April 3rd. It was King Philip who came away with a victory in that game, 4-2 over the Scarlet Hawks. That game was played at King Philip High School, and King Philip bursted for 8 hits in that ball game. So King Philip will look to get the bats going again today, while Milford, they're looking for some revenge and trying to prevent King Philip from getting into the playoffs. King Philip also looking for the sweep in this series. As I mentioned, they won the first game of the series way back on the first game of the season. But we'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics. Starting lineups coming up next right here on Milford TV. Moments away from first pitch here at Pheno Field, Milford High School versus King Philip High School. But before game time, let's get your starting lineups. First, for the Warriors of King Philip High School, leading off and playing second base is Kyle Genthner. Batting second and playing right field is Ben Furfari. Batting third and playing shortstop is Will Ware. And in the cleanup spot, pitching today, pitching, Stephen Murray. In the fifth spot, the designated hitter, Chris Wing. In center field, Ryan Coulter. In left field, Patrick Limerick. At first base, Colin Cook. And behind the dish today, batting ninth, is Jack Webster. And for Milford, leading off and playing center field is Ryan Gonzalez. Batting second and playing second base, Anthony Arcudi. Behind the dish today and batting third, Aiden Wild. The shortstop and batting fourth, Zach Tamani. Batting fifth and playing fifth, Alex Cody. The pitcher today, batting sixth, is Alex Masick. The first baseman batting seventh, Luke Allegrezza. In left field, batting eighth, Kevin Cambrola. And in right field, batting ninth, Tyler Renault. Pitching matchup for today, Stephen Murray for King Philip, and for Milford, it'll be Alex Masick. So, Tim, looking at this pitching matchup, Milford had a lot of time since their last game, so they get to go with their ace here today. And as for King Philip, they're going with a guy who doesn't seem to have pitched much this season, but coming into the season, he's been one of their more experienced starters coming back after King Philip lost 3 starters from last season.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but King Philip winning the Kelly Rex Division last year, they ended up making it into the MIAA tournament, and they had a 3 high-quality pitchers as seniors on that roster last year, all leaving via graduation at the conclusion of last season, so they had to kind of restock the cupboard in terms of the pitching rotation for this team this season. And Stephen Murray was one of the names talked about at the beginning of the season as being one of the heavy contributors for the team. Taking a look at the stats that were available via Hockomock Sports, we did not see a lot of information on Stephen Murray in terms of pitching, so we don't know if maybe there was possibly an injury there that held him out of the rotation for a portion of the season, but he was one of the arms that they had tapped as being one of their key contributors going into the season, so I'm sure that is why he is on the mound in a very important win-or-go-home game for them here today. But Anthony, as you know, I'm sure you've played in some games like this with a lot of high stakes. It's one of those games where you're going to have all hands on deck if you need them.
Absolutely, and King Philip has about 4 other guys in the top 20 in the Hockomock League based off of ERA rankings that could go in this game today. Obviously, they played against Franklin on Monday. We're not sure who pitched in that game, but there's a good chance, as you mentioned, Tim, that all hands will be on deck today. And as for Milford, Alex Masick has been nothing short of spectacular this season. Coming into today's game, ranked 7th in the Hockomock League in ERA, coming in with a 1.33 ERA over 42 innings pitched. He has struck out 40 batters and walked only 8. So, Tim, this is also a kid that pitches for the Legion team over the summer. This is a kid that when you need someone to stop a 2-game losing streak after clinching, you're looking for the best seed you can possibly get come tournament time. Alex Masick is as good as they come.
Yeah, you want an ace. Obviously, you need to have that staff ace to be able to go to have a successful regular season and go deep into the playoffs, and that's exactly what Milford has in Alex Masick. He's a guy who keeps things very lighthearted in the dugout and on the field during practices, but when he's out there on the field, he is all business, and he has led this staff by example over the course of the season. You mentioned it's some stellar stats for Alex throughout the year, and he's a big game pitcher, and he's a pitcher that doesn't shy away from any situation, and I've talked about this with Coach Pellegrini over the course of the season. Sometimes you're going to get runners on base against Alex Masick. You're going to piece a couple of hits together in an inning, and it almost seems like Alex feeds off of that when he has runners on, that when his back is up against the wall, that's when he sometimes pitches at his best. So there is no situation that intimidates Alex Masick, and that's exactly what you want in a pitcher that they're probably going to ride very heavily once they get into the tournament.
And in comparison to King Philip, Milford probably doesn't have all hands on deck today, so they're going to look to ride Alex Masick as long as they can. Milford, after this game against King Philip, has another 2 games in a span of 3 days, of course, playing Foxborough tomorrow, and then back that game against Sharon that was postponed from Monday is now on Saturday. So Milford is going to look to ride Alex Masick as long as they can, and this is going to be a dangerous lineup that they're going to go against today, especially Ryan Coulter for King Philip coming into today. Ranked 7th in the Hockomock League with a .400 batting average. You also can look down the lineup. Ben Furfari and Stephen Murray also some of the key players for this King Philip lineup. So Alex Masick is going to have to do a stellar job again, especially for a King Philip team that is fighting for their playoff lives today. They're going to come into today's game with a lot of determination and hopefully continue their season beyond today.
Yeah, the recipe for success for Milford this entire season has been the ability for the starting pitchers to essentially go the full 7. One issue with this team that Coach Pellegrini has been very upfront with is there's not a ton of depth on this roster, especially once you get past these 3 starters, Alex Masick, Aiden Wild, and also the senior Nate Irwin. There's not a whole lot of depth there. There have been some players who've been able to step up in short relief appearances, but it's the starters that Coach Pellegrini has the most trust in. And more to your point, with those 2 games coming up here to close out the week that have been shuffled around due to rain, I'm sure they're going to get Irwin and Wild each another start here before the end of the regular season, so they don't want to have to be forced to use those guys out here today. They're hoping for a full 7 out of Masick.
And you mentioned the rain. It looked like earlier in the day we might not be able to get this one in. A couple of raindrops were falling earlier in the day today, but Milford Parks Department getting the fields ready for today's game, and looks like it's going to hold off. A little bit of cloud in the sky, but no raindrop. It looks like the sun was breaking through earlier. I was telling you I would kind of wish I didn't wear the long sleeves and pants for today's game. It was freezing around lunchtime today, but the temperature seems to have picked up a little bit. Alex Masick continuing his warm-up tosses. We should be underway very soon. Again, for King Philip, the 3 men we should expect in this inning: Kyle Genthner, Ben Furfari, and Will Ware, the top 3 in the order for King Philip against Milford starter Alex Masick.
Yeah, obviously, the weather has been very unpredictable over the course of this spring. We've had a lot of rain. We, of course, had some snow that we dealt with way back in the end of March into the beginning of April that delayed some games. So we've experienced a little bit of everything. We had some summer-like weather last week with temperatures upwards of 90 degrees. A little bit more comfortable than that here at field level today, overcast skies. But again, hopefully we won't have any rain interfering with the game today as we're about to get started here.
And I'm sure neither of these teams want any rain either. We are ready for action. Kyle Genthner stepping into the box on the right side. And the first pitch from Alex Masick is a swinging strike. Fouled off at the plate. Aiden Wild couldn't hang on, but the count is 0-1. Alex Cody playing even with a third base bag, not expecting a bunt out of Genthner. That one trickled down the first base line, out of play. So Masick quickly up 0-2 on Genthner, the second baseman for King Philip.
You've got Luke Allegrezza playing first base today with Tyler Renault out in right field. Those have been some positions along with third base and catcher that have been in a little bit of flux at times this season.
Masick with his 0-2. Check swing, fouled off near the King Philip dugout, and it remains at 0-2. Masick toes the rubber again for the second 0-2 of this count. Misses low and away, 1-2. King Philip coming into this game, of course, a 9-10 record, which puts them at 4th in the the Kelly Rex division. Masick with a 1-2, and that one is popped up on the infield. Masick looks like he's going to call that one himself, and he makes the play for the first out of the ball game.
I probably talk about it every time, but I always appreciate when a pitcher just shows no issue with fielding his position himself, especially on those pop-ups. No one better placed on the infield to make that catch than Masick, and to his credit, he was able to field it and make the out.
I agree with you there, Tim. I love a pitcher that can field his position. And Masick helps himself out this time, getting the first out of the inning, and now deals with Ben Furfari, the right fielder for the Warriors, and he takes the first pitch for strike one. And that one is lined out to left field, but it hangs up just long enough for Kevin Cambrol out in left field to make that play. And very quickly for Alex Masick and Milford, 2 up and 2 down.
And that full defensive alignment for Milford. Wild behind the plate, Alex Cody at third, Zach Tamani at short, Anthony Arcudi at second, and Luke Allegrezza at first. Left to right in the outfield, Kevin Cambrola, Ryan Gonsalves, and Tyler Renault.
So with 2 down in the inning, in steps Will Ware, and he takes strike one from Masick. Will Ware, we mentioned just moments ago, one of the more dangerous hitters in this King Philip lineup, coming in batting .446 on the season as he takes that one high for ball one. In addition to that high batting average, he comes in with 7 RBIs on the season, 14 runs scored, 25 hits and 56 at-bats. That one misses low in the dirt for ball 2. King Philip in their last game getting shut out by Franklin's Jake Noviello. That game was a complete game shutout for Noviello as Masick misses high again. 3-1 the count. King Philip only managed 5 hits in that last game against Noviello. And 2 down in the inning already. Masick deals again, and the count's full, 3-2.
Masick looking to finish off the 1-2-3 inning, 1 pitch away from doing so.
The full count pitch to Will Ware will have to wait. Ware called time, but Masick continued through with his delivery. A late timeout call granted by the home plate umpire. So this time we will get the 3-2 Pitch to Ware, and it's grounded over to shortstop. That's Tamani. A little bit of a bobble, picks it up with his glove and decides not to throw to Allegrezzi at first base. And mark that one up as an E6. That one ate up Tamani at shortstop, and the inning will continue for King Philip, bringing in Stephen Murray.
Yeah, having to move laterally to his right there to try to make the play. Couldn't quite get his feet set to field the ground ball, and once he didn't get it cleanly in the glove, no chance to get Will Ware, who was busting it down the line.
So in steps Murray. Masick dealing with a runner on first after the Tamani error, and he checks on Ware at first base. The King Philip shortstop is back in easily. Stephen Murray batting .320 on the year for King Philip. As he gets the first pitch from Masick, and it's fouled off behind the dish for strike one.
Murray obviously will be on the mound in the bottom half of this first inning. He'd love to help his own cause here, getting a hit to make that error hurt with 2 outs here in the top of the first.
Masick checks Ware at first base. Ware inching out to a rather large lead at first base. He's not running, however, and Masick called strike. That one looked a little bit off the edge of the plate, but could be a generous call for Masick as well as maybe Murray going forward in this game. It's now an 0-2 count against the King Philip pitcher. Masick comes set again, and here's the 0-2. That one is grounded over to the second baseman, Arcudi. A good sliding play to his left and throws on to Allegrezza. And King Philip goes down. No runs on no hits, 1 error. That was against Tamani, the shortstop from Milford, but we go into the bottom of the first inning. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics right here on Milford TV. Back to action here at Pheno Field. Milford versus King Philip. King Philip was able to get 1 runner on in the top of the first inning off an error by Milford shortstop Zach Tamani, but could not bring him around to score, so the game remains tied at 0 as Ryan Gonzalez steps in to lead off for Milford in the bottom half of the first inning. Anthony Arcudi and Aiden Wild also expected to bat in this inning, but Stephen Murray with his first pitch for King Philip misses low and away for ball 1. We just saw Stephen Murray in the top of the inning. Grounded out to the second baseman, Anthony Arcudi, to end that inning as Murray delivers the second pitch of the at-bat, and that one catches the outside part of the plate for strike 1.
It was a very nice defensive play for Anthony Arcudi to finish that final out at the top of the first, sliding on the knees, going far to his left.
Murray with the 1-1. The breaking ball, again, catches the outside part of the plate for strike 2. Gonzalez coming into today batting .375 with 6 runs batted in on the season. Murray with the 1-2. Breaking ball again. Good stop by the catcher Webster. And the count evens at 2-2.
Milford has had a knack these last few seasons for finding good tone setters to put atop this lineup. Chris Speroni doing an excellent job last season. Ryan Gonzalez stepping into that role this year to great success.
Gonzalez looks at an 2-2, and misses down and away for ball 3, full count. So the Milford leadoff hitter, Ryan Gonzalez. And what better way to start a game for Milford would be for Ryan Gonzalez to get on either a walk or a base hit here. The full count pitch, and it is indeed a walk. Ryan Gonzalez strides down to first base, a leadoff walk. And Stephen Murray will now have to pitch out of the stretch early on in this game. And we'll have to deal with speed on the bases as well as Anthony Arcudi steps in, the second baseman for Milford.
That speed always a weapon for Milford, over 30 stolen bases as a team on the season. Murray certainly aware of that with that quick pickoff check.
Arcudi steps in. First pitch from Murray. Grounded foul down the third base line. Good skills by Alex Dion, one of the assistant coaches for Milford, to get out of the way of that one. That was hit hard off the bat by Arcudi. And he's quickly down in the count, 0-1. Murray pitching out of the stretch after walking Gonzalez to lead off this inning. The 0-1 to Arcudi, the breaking ball. drops in but misses high, evening the count at 1-1.
Last week I had a chance to talk to Anthony Arcudi along with a number of the seniors on this team. It certainly means an awful lot to these guys to be back in the tournament after missing out last season, seeing that streak come to an end.
Fouled off by Arcudi at the dish this time, and he's down 1-2. Arcudi batting .346 on the year, a lot of 300 batting averages for this Milford team, and that's certainly part of the reason why Milford is back in the tournament this season, getting production up and down the lineup. Murray checks Gonzalez at first. No movement over there for Gonzalez yet, and he's off this time. Pitch misses outside, the throw down to second base, and Gonzalez is in there with a stolen base.
Yeah, that was absolutely 100% stolen off the pitcher. It was a great jump for Gonzalez. Pitcher had only just started into his motion when he took off. It was an outside pitch, almost a pitch out for Webster to deal with, but still no chance to get Gonzalez down at second.
Chalk that up as Gonzalez's 9th stolen base of the season. As Arcudi now grounds one over to the shortstop. Throw on to first, and that'll be the first out of the inning. Good play by Ware at short for King Phillip. And Gonzalez stays put at second base. And there you see the importance of Gonzalez swiping that bag. The pitch before that one could have easily been a double play for Milford, but because Gonzalez was able to get to second base, no double play for Milford, and that'll bring in the ever so dangerous Aiden Wild. Batting .447 coming into play this week. As the first pitch from Murray, a breaking ball, drops in for strike one. Gonzalez at second after the ground out to short for Arcudi. Wild at the plate on the right side. The breaking ball again from Murray misses inside, evening the count at 1-1.
That was a close pitch. Good plate discipline for Aiden Wild not to chase it.
Murray with a long stare to Gonzalez at second. Another breaking ball from Murray, and talk about respect for a good hitter. 3 straight breaking balls to begin this at bat for Aiden Wild. But Wild does have a hitter's count now, 2-1. Again, Murray with a long stare to second, and now the fastball, and Wild drives that one out to left field. But it'll be Limerick in left, tracking it down, getting the ball back in quickly to the infield, keeping Gonzalez at second. Aiden Wild put a good charge into that one, but 2 down in the inning, and that'll bring up Zach Tamani for Milford.
Limerick started backpedaling a little bit after that ball. You know, you don't usually want to see that in the outfield, but he was able to get back there in time to make the catch.
That one seemed to be hit a little bit farther off the bat than it ended up being, but Limerick tracks it down in left for the second out, and in steps Zach Tamani. Tamani coming in, hitting .349 on the season. Murray delivers, and it catches the outside part of the plate for a called strike. Alex Cody is on deck if the inning can continue for Milford. But first, Murray has to deal with Zach Tamani, the cleanup hitter for the Scarlet Hawks, and a fastball up and in misses for ball 1.
Wind is very calm here at Pheno right now. It's usually a bit of a wind tunnel here, but you see that American flag out in left center field just about perfectly still, so the wind not a factor early on in this one.
And you have to wonder if that ball hit by Aiden Wild would have carried a little bit farther if there was some wind, as that fastball from Murray again catches the outside part of the plate. He's hit that spot a couple times so far early in this game. And now Tamani is down in the count, 1-2. Tamani looking to extend this inning with Gonzalez at second. The 1-2 from Murray. The fastball is swung and lifted out to center field. Under it is Coulter, and he will retire Tamani for the third out of the inning. No runs on no hits for the Scarlet Hawks. They leave a man at second base. And we'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics right here on Milford TV. Scoreless through one inning of play, 0-0 between Milford and King Philip. Neither side was able to get anything across after both sides were able to get a runner on the base paths in each of their first at-bats, but neither side has anything to show for it. Alex Masick pitching around an error by shortstop Zach Tamani, and for King Philip, Stephen Murray pitching around a leadoff walk to begin his outing, and this one is lined right back up the middle, but a good stab by Masick knocks it down and throws on to Allegretza to retire Chris Wing to begin the top of the second inning for King Philip.
Hard hit ball, but good reflexes for Masick to be able to reach down and make a play on the ball. Could not get it cleanly in the glove, but it ended up taking a favorable bounce over towards first base, so Masick just following through and completing the out.
So a quick at bat for Chris Wing brings in Ryan Coulter, the center fielder, who made the last out of the bottom of the first inning, as he looks at a pitch high for ball one. Coulter thought about swinging at that one. They appealed to the first base umpire, but Coulter did not swing, and that makes it a 2-0 count. Coulter coming into today ranked 7th in the Hockomock League with a .400 batting average. As Masick again misses high, 3-0 the count to Coulter. Masick with the 3-0. That pitch is popped up over near first base into foul territory. Allegretza settles under it and retires the second batter of this second inning. 2 outs now for King Philip's top of the second inning.
It's frustrating for a hitter. You get far ahead in the count. You end up aggressively swinging away at that 3-0 pitch and then a foul out. But credit to Masick making a good pitch to induce the out.
And that'll bring in Patrick Limerick. And geez, talk about an Irish name. Patrick Limerick, the left fielder for King Philip, as he looks at the first pitch, low and away, gets past Aiden Wild to the backstop for ball one.
We'll refrain from making up any limericks of our own up here on the broadcast.
I was just going to say, isn't a limerick some sort of poem or something? You know, English literature isn't really my thing, but Limerick dealing with a 1-0 count as that one is pumped in by Masick for strike one. Limerick awaiting the 1-1. Here it is, and it misses low from Masick. 2-1. The count to Limerick. Masick deals that one in for strike two, evening the count. 2-2-2 in the top of the second inning.
Once again, Masick with a chance for a 1-2-3 frame.
Bounces that one. Oh, excuse me, there were 3 balls in that count. And that one was ball 4. As Limerick strides down to first base, and Masick again having to deal with a base runner in the top of the second inning. This time it's Limerick at first, and that one brings in Colin Cook, the first baseman for King Philip. A long stare by Masick, and he does indeed throw over, checking on Limerick. But the left fielder is back safely without a slide. So Cook awaiting the first pitch of his at-bat in the top of the second inning. 0-0 is the score from Pheno Field. Milford High School versus King Philip, as Limerick was moving on the pitch, but Alex Cody fields the ball at third base and throws on to first to retire Cook, and that will end King Philip's half of the second inning. Again, no runs on no hits for King Philip. They leave a runner on the base paths for the second inning in a row, but we'll go to the bottom of the second inning with Milford's turn. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics right here on Milford TV. 5-6-7 for this Milford lineup here in the bottom of the second inning. Alex Cody Alex Masick and Luke Allegrezza expected in this inning, and if anyone can get on, it'll be Kevin Cambrola. But first, it's Alex Cody, batting fifth in this Milford lineup, wearing number 2 for the Scarlet Hawks, dealing with Stephen Murray on the mound for King Philip, and Murray's first pitch of the second inning catches the bottom outside corner for strike 1. Cody, only a sophomore for this Milford team, also saw time as a freshman last year as he grounds this ball over towards first base. It does trickle foul. Cody hustling down the line anyway, just in case, but it is an 0-2 count on Milford's third baseman.
It was a close play over at first base. That was in fair territory going down the line. Must have just kicked to the right side of that first base bag when it went over to go foul.
Yeah, must have hit the edge of that grass. The new infield here at Pheno Field. Of course, Milford Legion hosting the state tournament this year, so the field did need some repairs as Cody does not offer that 0-2 pitch. And it will go to a 1-2 count. Murray toes the rubber again and delivers the 1-2. That one misses high, 2-2.
No player on this Milford team with a better understanding of the strike zone than Alex Cody.
Murray with his 2-2 pitch to Cody. That one's lined right back up the middle. Murray snags it on his own, and just like we saw Alex Masick do in the top of the second inning, anything you can do, I can do better, is Murray snags that one of his own and throws out Cody at first base for the first out of the inning, and now in steps Alex Masick, facing his counterpart, Stephen Murray.
That ball probably hit even harder than the one we saw off the bat of Chris Wing last inning, but again, good reflexes from Murray, and he was able to keep it in the glove.
Masick without batting gloves, very few players do that anymore. Looks at a pitch up and away for ball 1. Masick from the right side swings through the second pitch of the at-bat, evening the count at 1-1. Masick so far on the hill, having to deal with a runner in each of his 2 innings, one via an error and one via a walk, but has yet to allow a run to score as he swings in this one and sends it out to left field. Limerick trots under it, and he will make the play, nearing the foul line down there in left field, but chalk that one up as an F7, and Masick is down, and that'll bring in Luke Allegrezza, the first baseman.
You hit a high fly ball like that into the Pheno outfield, odds are there's going to be enough time for that outfielder to make the reaction, and plenty of room to roam in the outfield to track fly balls down. You want to go for line drives if you're going to hit it in the air to the outfield at Pheno.
Line drive and let it roll as Allegrezza looks at the first pitch of his at-bat for a strike on the outside corner. So Allegrezza will look to extend this inning for Milford. Kevin Cambrola on deck for Milford if the inning can continue, as Allegrezza quickly down 0-2 as he fouls that one behind home plate.
And one thing Milford would love is to start to see some consistency out of batters 6 through 9 in the lineup, especially heading into the playoffs.
And Allegrezza can do just that, show Pellegrini, Coach Pellegrini, something from the bottom half of the order as that one misses up and away.
You've gotten everything you could possibly ask for out of the 1 through 5 spots. They're 5 of the top hitters in the league. It's been this bottom part of the order that at times has not been as productive as they could be.
The 1-2, and Allegrezza swings right through it. Strike 3, the first strikeout of the day for Stephen Murray, and Milford goes 1-2-3, I should say, in the bottom half of the second inning. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. 9-1-2 due up in this top of the third inning for King Philip to deal with Alex Masick, who so far has yet to allow a run through his first 2 innings. He has had to deal with an error and a walk, but has done so successfully, and now in steps the catcher for King Philip, Jack Webster. And the first pitch to Webster from Masick is a breaking ball in there for strike one. The 0-1 from Masick again finds the strike zone. 0-2 the count to Webster.
Webster ended up earning the save in that 4-2 win King Philip had at home against Milford earlier this season.
And he does go on that pitch. Tried to hold up, but cannot. The first strikeout of the day for Alex Masick goes against Jack Webster. And that'll be one down in the top of the third inning, and that'll bring the top of the order back to the lineup for King Philip, Kyle Genthner. And Genthner quickly lines that one to third base, and it eats up Alex Cody over there at third base, and that one will go as another error against Milford's defense, and Genthner reaches.
Well, we still haven't seen a hit yet in this game, but King Philip has had a base runner in every inning now, their second runner, courtesy of an infield miscue.
And both have come on that left side, Tamani in the first inning, and now Cody, as it'll be Ben Furfari stepping in for King Philip from the left side, and he takes strike one. Furfari flew out to the left fielder, Kevin Cambrola, in his first at-bat back in the first inning. Looking for the first hit of the ball game is King Philip. Masick checks over to Genthner at first base, and he slides in easily.
The man at the plate, Ben Furfari, again in that earlier matchup between these two teams on the season, drove in 2 of King Philip's 4 runs.
So he does have Milford's number this season, and Masick misses up and away. Ball one. Furfari batting .320 on the year with 8 RBIs. As the chanting from the King Philip dugout pumps up a little bit now with a runner on with 1 out in the third inning as that ball misses low. 2-1 the count.
Both of these teams have been a little bit quiet in the dugouts to this point, especially on the King Philip side. You would expect a little more energy given the importance of this game.
As that one is sent out towards center field, coming in on it is Ryan Gonzalez as he settles under it and retires. Ben Furfari for the second out of this inning. And in steps the number 3 hitter, Will Ware. Ware reached on that error by Tamani, the shortstop, back in the first inning, and was stranded on first base. This time he has a runner on first base. That is Genthner. As Ware fights that one off down the right field line for strike one.
The head coach of the King Philip Warriors is Pat Ware, so you'd have to think there is a familial tie there, perhaps father and son duo.
It'll probably explain why he's one of the top hitters in this league, having a father who's a coach. As Genthner is running, the pitch misses up. Wild's throw down to second base almost hits Genthner as he is in there with a stolen base. Good strong throw that time by Wild, but a little bit off the mark as Genthner slides in safely at second base. Now King Philip has a runner in scoring position with their 3 hitter at the dish with a 1-1 count. Masick checks Genthner at second, and here's the 1-1. Finds the inside part of the plate for strike 2.
Good pitch right at the knees.
And Tim, these are the kind of situations that we talked about earlier that Masick seems to thrive in. 2 outs in this inning, looking to get Will Ware for the third out, and he trickles that one over to third base. Alex Cody charging in, makes a good strong throw to first base, but not in time. Genthner takes third on the play, and it is now first and third for King Philip with their number 4 hitter, Stephen Murray, striding to the plate.
And so that's what it took to get the first hit of this game, and nothing more Alex Cody could have done. Made a good charge, got rid of the ball as quickly as he could, but an off-balance throw just couldn't quite get enough on it to get Weir at first before he was able to reach the bag.
So runners on the corners, and in steps the cleanup hitter. And Ware is off at first. Wild fakes the throw to second, then checks third.
Can't risk that throw in that situation, not with the first potential run of the day at third base.
So now Masick has to work out of a jam with 2 outs, facing his counterpart, Stephen Murray, as that one bounces in.
It's the second time we've seen Murray at the plate with runners on, but a much better opportunity this time with 2 in scoring position.
Again, this started with a error by Alex Cody at third base, and now Masick delivers, missing again. Genthner reached on the error, as I mentioned, by Alex Cody, and then a single 2 batters later by Will Ware. Again, over towards Cody's way, but not much he could do, so we have 2 runners on. Masick trying to work out of the jam, delivers and finds the outside part of the plate with a breaking ball. 3-1 the count to the opposing pitcher, Stephen Murray. Murray grounded out to second base in his first at bat. Little half-hearted swing that time by Murray, fouls it back to the backstop, and a full count.
Looks like Masick's trying to get a little bit more comfortable with his command from the stretch. He's had it from the windup, but he hasn't had to pitch out of the stretch quite as often so far in the game, going to the 3-ball count, but now battling back to fill it.
Senior versus senior, and Masick loses this battle. Ball 4 to Murray. Now bases loaded, and this is exactly the situation that King Philip is hoping for in this game. 3 runners on base, the middle of their order up, facing an elimination game in the sense that if they lose, they are out of the playoffs. If they win, they clinch a playoff berth with their 10th win. Masick goes back to the windup and fires in a strike to Chris Wing.
And no reason not to go back to the full windup now with the bases full.
Wing made quick work of himself last at bat. On the first pitch, grounded right back to Masick. He deals with the 0-1, and that one is going to fall into left field for a base hit. 1 runner is already in. The cutoff throw, let's go, by Alex Cody. That one should have been cut off as the ball now trickles behind Aiden Wilds. The runners will now move up. And a single by Chris Wing puts King Philip ahead 2-0 in the 3rd inning as Coach Pellegrini now steps on the field looking to appeal. It looks like if a runner touched third base on his way by.
The umpires are going to talk about this. Coach Pellegrini always with a great eye for those kind of details from the third base dugout.
The runner in question would be Will Ware, who was at second base. And now Coach Pellegrini clearly does not like the call that he heard. And the vocal guy that he is now goes for a little bit of a chat with the 2 umpires. As it stands right now, it is 2-0 King Philip. After a single by Chris Wing, drove in 2 runs here in the top of the 3rd inning.
And it's been a frustrating inning from Masick's perspective, Anthony. You look at it, that was the hardest hit ball of the inning, and it was just a bloop single that barely got over the head of Tamani at short. Everything else was on the infield, the error in the infield hit, and a walk mixed in there as well. So it looks like the call is going to stand, and unfortunately for the Scarlet Hawks, facing an early 2-0 deficit.
And that walk is really the only thing that was Masick's fault in that inning. Started off with a strikeout, and then as you mentioned, that error in that little trickler down the third base line that Cody really couldn't do much with. But nonetheless, it is 2-0 King Philip. The call will stand as Masick still is not out of this inning, has to deal with runners on second and third after the ball trickled to the backstop, allowing the runners to advance. And Masick goes right back to work, pumping in a strike. 0-1 the count to Ryan Coulter, and it doesn't get any more dangerous than Coulter in this lineup. As he sends that one out to left field as well. That one is going to fall. Another run is already in. The throw now is cut off. A good throw by Cambrola. Gets that one in quickly. Cut off by Cody. Keeping Chris Wing at third base, but another run does score for the Warriors. 3-0. King Philip in the top of the third inning.
Well, the Warriors starting to feel it now. That was solid contact against Masick that time as Coulter lined it out into shallow left field. And that deficit now grows to 3 runs.
And in steps Patrick Limerick, trying to continue this inning with runners on the corners for King Philip. Still 2 down in this inning. Jack Webster led off with a strikeout, followed by a fly out to center field for Ben Furfari as Masick delivers the 0-1, and that one gets by Wild. Another run will score. That's Chris Wing crossing the plate. And a wild pitch from Masick brings in another run for King Philip, make it 4-0.
Really turning into a nightmare inning for the Scarlet Hawks. Committing an error at third base. You really could make the judgment call for the error on the throw from Cambrola a few batters ago. After the 2-run single by Chris Wing, you could talk about that missed cutoff man as a potential third error in this game. So just sloppy play early on for Milford coming back to haunt them.
Masick delivers again, a little bloop shot off the bat. Jammed was Limerick. And Tamani settles under it at shortstop for finally the third out of the inning. 3 hits for King Philip, brings 4 runs home. An error mixed in there as well. 4-0 King Philip. Milford will now have its chance to try to get those back. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. So King Philip is able to scratch across 4 runs in the top of the third inning to take a 4-0 lead against the Scarlet Hawks. Those 4 runs came on 3 hits by King Philip batters. All 3 of their hits came back in that third inning. And now Milford will look to get those runs back, trailing by 4 runs. And leading it off for Milford in the bottom of the third will be Kevin Cambrola.
Always have to watch out for the bunt when Cambrola's up.
The third baseman and first baseman are both playing back. Cambrola is not squaring around, and he takes strike 1 from King Philip starter Stephen Murray. The 0-1 to Cambrola again catches the strike zone. And a quick 0-2 count against the Milford left fielder. So far, Murray has only had to deal with 1 walk that came back to against the first batter of the game. Other than that, he's been flawless. Again, just misses that outside part of the plate. That one has been there all day for Murray so far, but doesn't get the call that time. 1-2 the count to Cambrola. And this time he does get him looking. Good breaking ball that time from Murray. Sets down Cambrola for the first out of the bottom of the third inning. And Murray right now with a 4-run lead is dealing.
Easily could have had the 3-pitch strikeout with that fastball that just missed outside, but then comes right back with the off-speed pitch to get Cambrola.
Now up to the plate is Tyler Renault, the Milford right fielder, and he takes that one high for ball 1.
We've seen Tony Mobilia get the bulk of the playing time out in right field so far this season, but the senior captain, Renault, getting a chance to make the start out there this afternoon.
The 1-0 to Renault is pumped in for strike 1, evening the count at 1s.
You wonder if maybe there's a little bit of pressure off the shoulders of Stephen Murray right now as he was staked to that 4-run lead.
Certainly looks like it the way he's painting the corners right now, but that one misses. 2-1 the count to Tyler Renault. Renault from the right side of the plate looking at a 2-1. Now a 2-2 count. And so far, Tim, that outside part of the plate has been Stephen Murray's best friend.
It's been a generous outside part of the plate to these righty bats, really for both pitchers so far on the day.
2-2 count. Renault swings right through it. Back-to-back strikeouts for Murray. 2 up and 2 down, and that'll bring to the top of the order. Back to the plate for Milford, Ryan Gonzalez, so far the only base runner for Milford to reach base. That came back on a walk in the first inning. But that was before Murray settled into a groove. He has struck out 3 straight dating back to last inning. And now another strike on the inside part of the plate at the knees to Gonzalez to begin his at-bat.
It really looks like Murray has his full arsenal of pitches working exactly how he wants them in this inning.
And that breaking ball had Gonzalez buckling at the knees, but it falls in. And Murray again in prime position to strike out another Milford batter. 0-2 the count to Gonzalez, and Murray's pitch misses up and away for ball 1. The catcher Webster tried to bring that one back, and some of the King Philip fans here at at Pheno Field, groaning, thought that pitch was a strike. But it misses. Now the 1-2 to Gonzalez, and that one is chopped over towards third base. Coming in on it is Rines. He throws, and Gonzalez is safe. So the first hit for Milford comes on what came for the first hit of the day for King Philip as well. And we saw what happened last inning when King Philip got a little bit of a trickler single off the bat of Will Ware. Now Ryan Gonzalez gets one down the third base line. Rines couldn't get the throw over in time. So 1 on for Milford, and that brings up Anthony Arcudi. Breaking ball just a little bit inside. 1-0 the count.
You would definitely think Gonzalez would be running in this situation with 2 outs. He had a steal after he walked in the first inning.
Murray checks him over at first base, slides in easily. And as I just alluded to, Will Ware started the last inning for King Philip with a little trickler down the third base line. Very similar situation, and King Philip came to score 4 runs. That also came with 2 outs in the inning. So let's see if Milford can put a rally together now with Arcudi at the plate, and he fouls that one back.
These are the exact batters you'd want to have coming up if you're looking to spark a 2-out rally. Arcudi, Aiden Wild, and Zach Tamani, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, trying to keep this bottom of the third inning alive.
Arcudi grounded out to short in his first at bat and fouls that one off his left foot, and he's in some pain as he tries to limp it off.
Arcudi's played through a lot of aches and pains over this last school year. It's amazing. Arcudi never seems to slow down, a standout golfer in the fall. Of course, a tremendous captain and offensive contributor for the basketball team in the winter, and right in the thick of this offensive attack for the Milford baseball team.
Although you don't get to see the Karate Kid much when he's on the baseball field. No opportunity for a, what do you call, bandana or headband, whatever that is. But instead he has to go with the helmet and ball cap. But Gonzalez is running, and Arcudi sends that one out to the gap in left center field, and that one is going to fall. Gonzalez was running, and Dion is going to wave him around third base. The throw home is going to be not in time as Gonzalez crosses the plate on an Anthony Arcudi double. Send him to third with a throwing error. And now Milford scratches one across. It's 4-1, still in favor of King Philip.
Yeah, the relay was good from left center field. And the throw to the plate on the money, and it might have been on a bounce just ahead of the runner, and Webster wasn't able to play it cleanly and ended up to the backstop. And Milford ends up getting a run out of it. They now have Arcudi at third base, who was hobbling a bit as he rounded second base.
Yeah, and he's still hobbling over there as he takes his lead at third. And now Aiden Wild steps to the plate, and that one, geez, Aiden Wild didn't even try to get out of the way of that one. The breaking ball misses inside by Stephen Murray, and Aiden Wild just took that one like a champ. So now runners at the corners for Milford. And they are mounting a little bit of a rally of their own just when it looked like Murray was going to cruise through this inning. He's now let up 1 run and has to pitch his way out of a first and third jam as that one misses off the outside part of the plate to Tamani for ball 1.
And again, expect Aiden Wild to be on the move at first base.
And there he goes, the second pitch to Tamani. That one goes all the way through. Not too often you see that with a first and third situation, but the throw is late anyway. Wild steals a base after he was hit by a pitch by Murray. And Milford, not wanting to risk anything with the middle of their order up, decides not to send Arcudi. And Tamani fouls that one off behind home plate for strike 2.
So now you have a situation where a hit here would likely mean 2 runs to get Milford right back into this game. Amazing the similarity with which this inning is playing out compared to the top half of the frame for the King Philip side.
You know, they say history repeats itself, and we could be seeing a situation of that here. As Tamani sends that one out to right field, fairly hard hit, but settling under it is Furfari, and he snags that one to end the bottom of the third inning. But Milford does get 1 run via the Anthony Arcudi double. Milford still down, though, by 3 runs, 4-1 King Philip. We'll be back with the top of the 4th inning right here on Milford TV. About to get the 4th inning started here at Pheno Field, Milford versus King Philip. Both teams were able to get runs in that 3rd inning. King Philip came away with 4 runs in their top half, but Milford was able to get one back via an Anthony Arcudi double to drive in Ryan Gonzalez, and that's where we stand now, 4-1 in favor of the Warriors as Alex Masick toes the rubber again for his 4th inning of work, and he deals to Colin Cook, the number 8 hitter. And Cook takes strike 1 to begin the at-bat. Masick's 0-1 misses high and in, evening the count at 1. Cook grounded out to third base in his first at-bat. Masick misses low and away, ball 2. Masick so far on the day, only 1 strikeout. As that one, a little half-hearted swing in front of the plate, grounded right back to Masick. He throws on to first, and he sets down Cook for the 2nd time today for the first out of this 4th inning. And speaking of that lone strikeout, in steps Jack Webster. He struck out in the 3rd inning. First pitch swinging for Webster that time, sends that one down the right field line, but foul and out of play.
A little surprising to see just the 1 strikeout to Masick's credit so far in this game. Usually able to rack up some decent strikeout numbers, but this is a pesky King Philip lineup top to bottom.
As this time Webster getting revenge this time. After striking out in his first at-bat, sends this one between the hole between short and third for a 1-out single for King Philip, and back to the top of the order it goes for Kyle Genthner. Genthner 0 for 1 on the day, reached on an error in the 3rd inning, and that of course started King Philip's rally in which they plated 4 runs. Chops that one foul over towards third base. The senior second baseman for King Philip facing an 0-1 count with Webster at first. Genthner again shoots that one foul down the third base line, and he's in a hole 0-2.
And going back to that last base hit for Webster, not an easy play, obviously, for Alex Cody going to his left there, but third base has been a tough position for Milford all season long. You know, if Coach Pellegrini had it his way, he would have Aiden Wild over there at third base, but with the lack of catching depth, he is behind the plate now.
It's a position to watch out for in this game as well as the rest of the season as Genthner gets his first hit of the game, and that one is going to go for a single. Now he gets into second base with a double. Excuse me, a single with a throwing error. It gets into second base. Webster goes first to third on the Genthner single.
Just a poor decision out there in left field for Kevin Cambrola. Sent the throw over to third base instead of towards the cutoff man, and the ball ended up just rolling around behind the third base bag, and that allowed Genthner to end up at second base. So now 2 in scoring position again for King Philip.
We've seen a couple of indecisive plays by Kevin Cambrola out in left field, a couple of which have led to runs. And now this one is lined back up the middle for a base hit by Ben Furfari. 1 run is already in. This throw is attempted to be cut off. Wild now has to get it. He shoots down to second base, and Furfari is out by a long shot, but he does drive in 2. And after King Philip gave up 1 in the bottom of the third, they get 2 back. Now 2 outs in the inning, but King Philip is back on top, 6-1.
Well, you talked about it in the open, Anthony. Both of these teams have something to play for here today. Obviously, more of the desperation on the side of King Philip as they need this win just to get into the playoffs. And they certainly, right now, appear to be the team with a little bit more intensity and a little bit more of a spring in their step, and it's paid off for them in these early innings.
Well, when you look at the records, Milford, of course, already clinching their playoff berth. King Philip needing a win in their last game today to get into the playoffs, as Will Ware takes a ball down low. So, you know, Milford kind of seems complacent right now. I've seen it in years past as well, where Milford teams get that 10th win and then kind of back off, and Will Ware fouls that one back as well. But King Philip needing a win today. They don't have any more opportunities to get one. Milford, of course, needing a win today. Not necessarily needing, but, you know, you lose 2 in a row after clinching a playoff berth, and you don't want to start losing games right before the playoffs. You want to go in with some sort of momentum.
Well, and not only that, but you want to give yourself a chance at as high a seed as you possibly can and the possibility of hosting a playoff game.
That one misses away to Ware.
And this team said all the right things after getting that 10th win against Hopedale. They had their eye perhaps on a Davenport Division title and that first-round home game.
Ware takes that one at the knees. Of course, you mentioned the Davenport Division title. Stoughton already locked that one up at the top of the Davenport. 14-4 is Stoughton this season. Of course, Franklin clinched the Kelly Rex back on Monday against King Philip, as this one is grounded over to short. Tamani handles this one cleanly. Throws on to first to Allegrezza to retire the side in this inning, but King Philip does get 2 more runs. 6-1, the Warriors lead. We'll be right back with Milford's bottom of the 4th inning right here on Milford TV. About to start action again here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Milford down by a score of 6-1 against King Philip. And Tim, you mentioned a little bit in the top of the last inning, Milford hoping for a home playoff game in these playoffs. However, especially if they lose today, even if they were able to win today, that doesn't necessarily look likely. A little bit of research brought me back to the 2013 Milford team. And that Milford team back in 2013 had a 13-7 record, which would be the same record that Milford would have if they were to win these next 3 games. That record, 13-7, did not get them a home playoff game. As a matter of fact, that gave them an 8 seed against Nauset in Nauset, and Milford ended up losing that game 8-1. So even with 3 wins here to conclude this season, that home playoff game does not look likely, as Alex Cody leads off the bottom of the 4th for Milford, chops it foul down the first base line. So, Tim, as much as Milford would have loved to have a home playoff game, it doesn't look likely, and especially if they lose today, it's, you know, completely out of the question, most likely. Cody shoots that one foul behind home plate for strike 2.
Yeah, you're right, Anthony. And obviously, every year is a little bit different. And depending on how many teams end up in the playoff bracket, you sometimes have that preliminary round versus going right into the first round of tournament play. And if you have a situation like that where you have a lot of 500 teams, you could still potentially see a home playoff game for Milford. But with that research you show there, with 13 wins sometimes even not being enough, it really puts a high level of emphasis on trying to grab these wins here at the end of the season. And right now, Milford in tough shape, down 6-1 here today.
Alex Cody swings on the 1-2 count and lines that one into right field for his first hit of the day. And the leadoff man is on for the Scarlet Hawks and bringing in Alex Masick. Masick is 0 for 1 on the day, flew out to left field in his first at-bat.
Masick, these previous 2 innings, just not able to get that pitch to minimize the damage in either the top of the 3rd or the top of the 4th inning, allowing a total of 6 runs, 5 of them earned in that 2-inning span.
Takes that one high for ball 1. Alex Cody at first base, leading off this bottom of the 4th with a single. Milford needs to get a rally going, down by 5 runs. 6-1 is the score in favor of King Philip, and Masick sends this one a mile into the air on the left side of the infield. Settling under it is the shortstop, Will Ware, for the first out of the inning.
Anthony, this King Philip team has been really interesting when you really break down their schedule. Against Davenport division opponents, this is a team probably wishes that instead of North Attleboro, they had been the team moved to the small school division. They've gone 6-2 against Davenport opponents, including that win earlier this season against Milford. In terms of their competition against their fellow Kelly Rex teams, just 2 wins out of their 10 matchups against Kelly Rex division opponents, and those 2 wins coming against the last place Attleboro Bombardiers.
Definitely a big difference, and part of the reason why they're playing for their playoff lives here today at Pheno Field. However, so far it looks good. The Warriors are up 6-1 in this ball game. Again, a win for King Philip, and they are in the playoffs. That would be their 10th win of the season, putting them at 10-10. A loss, and they are officially eliminated from playoff contention. With Alex Cody at first base, Luke Allegrezza is the batter now, and he's looking at a 2-0 count against King Philip starter Stephen Murray. And that ball gets away on the pickoff attempt by Murray. That one rolls all the way beyond the out of play line, down the first base line at Pheno Field. So Cody giving Murray a hard time on the base paths results in him getting down to second base on a wild throw. So Allegrezza has a runner in scoring position with 1 out. That one misses inside, almost brought his hands right into that pitch, but was able to get out of the way at the last second.
We haven't exactly seen a defensive clinic in this game. 3 errors on the Milford side, now 2 for KP.
Allegrezza lets that one go right down the middle. Alex Cody led this inning off with a single to right field. He's at second base with Allegrezza up at the plate with 1 out, and he takes strike 2 from Stephen Murray.
Interesting to look over in the warm-up area for King Philip. They have a pair of arms loosening.
Both lefties down in that bullpen for King Philip, and as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, as that one is bounced up the middle, good play by Genthner at second base, throws out Allegrezza at first for the second out of the inning. As I was saying, Tim, as you mentioned, all hands on deck in this game for King Philip, needing a win to get into the playoffs. Of course, King Philip had a game on Monday. That was a loss against Franklin, 5-0. They were shut out. But you have to imagine that all hands are on deck, and we're seeing it early as Murray working into the 4th inning. He's done a pretty good job so far, allowing only 1 run, but double-barreled action in the bullpen. And we see a bunt attempt this time from Kevin Cambrola. He sends it foul near the Milford dugout for strike 1.
Interesting time for the bunt play with a runner at third base and 2 outs. Get the third baseman and the first baseman each playing in tight on the grass.
Coach Pellegrini is never shied away from trying to get a run across any way he can. Could have been a situation of a safety squeeze that time, but Cambrola's swinging now and fouls it back behind home plate. Down in the count, 0-2. Cambrola was one of 3 strikeout victims for Murray so far in the day. Led off that third inning with a strikeout looking, and Murray is hoping for the same now with two gone in the inning. Instead, he misses upstairs for ball 1.
Corner infielders now playing back a few more steps with 2 strikes.
Cambrola, the 1-2, and he sends that one between the hole over on the left side of the infield, and Kevin Cambrola coming through with a 2-out base knock to plate Alex Cody, who led off with a single. And Milford continues to chip into this King Philip lead, now 6-2 in favor of the Warriors.
Cambrola not doing too much there, just finding the hole in the infield. Able to capitalize with that runner at third base.
Now the number 9 hitter for Milford, Tyler Renault, steps into the right side of the plate with Cambrola at first, and Murray misses high with the pitch for ball 1. Renault was also set down by Way the K back in the third inning. Part of back-to-back strikeouts in that third inning for Murray. And Cambrola is off at first. The pitch is high. The throw down by Webster is not in time. Good speed by Cambrola. And Milford gets another runner in scoring position now, continuing to try to chip away into this 6-2 King Philip lead. Cambrola now at second with Renault, the hitter.
We've seen good throws down to second base from the catcher every time, but just too much speed for these Milford base runners.
That one misses away. Milford looking to snap a 2-game losing streak, but are currently down 6-2 to King Philip as that one goes for ball 4 to Renault. So Milford with a little bit of a 2-out rally, already plated 1 run so far, as coach Pat Ware for King Philip goes out to the mound. Hasn't signaled for a move yet. Probably checking in with Stephen Murray to see how he feels, giving his bullpen arms a little bit more time to warm up.
Well, you and I were speculating in the open, Anthony, without a lot of pitching stats at least available to us for Stephen Murray on the season, wondering if perhaps there was an injury that allowed Murray to bat throughout the season but maybe held him back out of taking some regular turns in the pitching rotation. So maybe there is a pitch count on Murray here, and as we get deeper into the game, they're keeping that into account.
And that suggests really one of two things. Either he wasn't pitching well, and that's why he's not showing up on the stats, or he wasn't pitching much. But Murray, being one of the more experienced arms coming back to this King Philip staff, deals strike 1 to Ryan Gonzalez. It was probably unlikely that he wasn't pitching particularly well, so your guess is as good as mine, but I'm gonna go with injury as well, as he tries to deal with this 2 runners on situation for Milford, as Gonzalez shoots that one down the right field line, but out of play.
Really important Milford takes advantage of this situation. The bottom of the order bats doing their job. Cambrola with the RBI single, Renault working the walk, getting the top of the lineup to the plate here in the 4th.
That one misses up and away to Gonzalez. 2-1 the count. Decent-sized crowd here at Pheno Field today, especially down that right field line. Getting in on the action for Milford versus King Philip as Gonzalez chops this one over towards third base. Rhines hustles and beats Cambrola to tag the bag for the force out to end the 4th inning, but Milford is able to scratch one across, but King Philip still has a 6-2 advantage. We'll be right back with 5th inning action on Milford TV. Stephen Murray will be the batter to lead off the 5th inning here at Pheno Field for King Philip. Still facing Milford starter Alex Masick. as Murray sends that one right back to center field. Very hard hit, but it will be Gonzalez tracking it down. And on the first pitch, Murray lines that one to center field, but right into the glove of Ryan Gonzalez for the first out of the inning.
Gonzalez had to hustle back after that one, looking more like a wide receiver making the catch on the move.
Now in steps Chris Wing, the designated hitter for King Philip, and again, first pitch swinging, sends that one out to right center field. It will be Tyler Renault who settles under it, and 2 pitches, 2 outs for Alex Masick.
Well, Masick really in need of a shutdown inning to try to give his offense an opportunity to climb back into the game, and just what the doctor ordered on those first 2 pitches, getting outs on each of them.
Let's see if Coulter takes a pitch. He indeed does for strike 1. So far, Coulter 1 for 2 on the day with an RBI, 1 of 6 runs driven in for King Philip today. That curveball had him ducking out of the way, evening the count at 1-1. Ryan Coulter, also a star on the soccer pitch. 2016 honorable mention in the Hockomock League as he grounds this one over to short. Tamani fields it cleanly, throw over to Allegrezza at first, and that will retire the side. It only took 5 pitches, but Alex Masick retires the side in the 5th inning, a very quick inning for King Philip. They still have an advantage, 6-2. Milford will have its turn, trying to cut into that lead a little bit more. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on Milford TV. Bottom of the 5th inning, about to get started here at Pheno Field. King Philip with the advantage, 6-2 over the Scarlet Hawks. And Tim, a little bit of an interesting development that I found out the other day from talking with Coach Pellegrini as well as assistant coach Mike Reed. This game against Sharon that was supposed to be played on Monday has now been rescheduled to Saturday at noon in Sharon. And while it doesn't seem like much, they get to play a game on the weekend in the afternoon. The Milford Senior Prom is Friday evening, and part of that senior prom is an after prom that lasts until 5 a.m. at Pins. So Coach Pellegrini is clearly not too happy about this. You know, Milford is looking for as many wins as they can get, and now they're already put at a disadvantage by having to play with limited amount of sleep for a lot of their top guys.
Yeah, that's an interesting scheduling quirk. A lot of seniors on this roster. It is a senior-heavy roster, so a lot of these players are going to be not getting a whole lot of sleep before that game.
As Arcudi grounds this one over to third base to begin the inning. Across the diamond, gets Arcudi. Rhines to Cook on the out. And on the first pitch, Anthony Arcudi goes down.
Now back to your point about Sharon. The Eagles having a tough season. They have just 5 wins overall. They've only scored 46 runs through 13 games on the season. So Milford hopeful that despite being a little sleep deprived and spending the night partying on the dance floor, they might still be able to get the job done.
Aiden Wild shoots that one into right field for a base hit. His first hit of the afternoon after he was hit on the shoulder in his last at-bat. And Milford gets another runner on, this time with 1 out in the 5th inning. But going back to Sharon for a second, they did come away with a win yesterday. So Sharon should be riding high into that matchup against Milford. As Tamani now sends this one down the right field line, but that one is going to fall out of play. Giving chase was for Fari, but that one falls on the right side of the line. Tamani will have to go back, pick up the bat, and start with an 0-1 count.
Just kept slicing off the bat of Tamani and ended up right into foul territory.
Tamani so far 2 flyouts, 1 to center field and 1 to right field to begin the day. Breaking ball drops in, but a little bit too high, 1-1 the count. Aiden Wild, the runner at first base for Milford. Still double-barreled action down in the bullpen for King Philip, 2 lefties. As Tamani sends this one to shortstop, and oh my gosh, what a bounce. That one came up on Will Ware right into the jaw area.
That is as scary a play as you're going to see, and it seems to be very fortunate that Will Ware is fine. That brings back shades of a couple of seasons ago, deep in the Legion playoffs. We saw a play very similar to that in the late stages of the state tournament for Hopedale shortstop Dan Mantoni playing for the Milford Legion team. He was able to stay in the game as well, so Ware showing very good toughness after taking a hard bounce off of that ground ball by Tamani.
And obviously the concern went right to Ware as that one came up in the head area, but at the same time, luckily for Milford, that one could have been a double play ball, but instead, Tamani reaches on what should go as an infield single after Ware really had no chance to field that ball cleanly. As now Alex Cody gets a turn with 2 runners on after the scary play at shortstop almost took Will Ware's head off. Cody swings through that one on a pitch in the dirt. Obviously the new infield here at Pheno Field still has a couple of old bounces left in it. Cody on the left side gets the pitch from Murray, and that one is inside for strike 3, right on the inside part of the plate. Cody looks back at the home plate umpire, but he still gets rung up. And a big-time strikeout for Stephen Murray with 2 runners on for the second out of the inning.
And Cody staying even-keeled just to look back to the umpire, didn't say anything. He was jumping back out of the left side batter's box on that pitch, but it was ruled strike 3 by the ump.
Masick takes ball 1, and a lot of times seeing a player jump out of the way like that doesn't necessarily do the pitch justice depending on where they stand in the batter's box. But obviously Coach Pellegrini and Alex Cody were not too happy about that call, but it stands nonetheless as Masick, dealing with a 1-0 count, make it 2-0. Webster popped up attempting to throw down to first, decides not to throw.
Milford stranding a pair of runners on in each of the last 2 innings, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth. They have 2 on here now with 2 outs, hoping history doesn't repeat itself yet again.
Masick fouls that one off the catcher Webster for strike 1. Masick so far 2 mile-high flyouts in this game, one to left field, the other one to shortstop, so he's picked on that left side of the field today. Aiden Wild is the runner at second. Zach Tamani is the runner at first. Both had singles in this inning as Masick takes one high for ball 3. His throw down to first base is high and not in time. Over to Cook from Webster. Now Masick with a good hitter's count, 3-1 with 2 runners on. Milford still trailing 6-2 in this ball game. And Masick takes ball 4, loading the bases. And Coach Pat Ware again striding out to the pitcher's mound. And he does signal down to his bullpen. And that will be the end of the day for Stephen Murray. An admirable job on the mound for Stephen Murray, holding these Milford bats to 2 runs in 4 2/3 innings, but we'll get a pitching change. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics. Milford trailing by 4 runs right here on Milford TV. So it will be Jackson Schiebler coming on to pitch for King Philip, trying to get the last out of this 5th inning and maybe more for the Warriors. King Philip still leading in this ball game 6-2. But what a tough situation for Schiebler to come into. Bases loaded for Milford, having to deal with Luke Allegretza as his first batter will be Schiebler. Schiebler, a junior on this team, wearing number 2 for King Philip. And Tim, really a tough situation to come into, bases loaded. And he's been pitching in the bullpen, but you know, you got to wonder how the nerves are doing right now, especially in such an important game for King Philip, and this could be a deciding inning.
Yeah, crucial situation for a reliever to come into, and especially the lefty reliever facing the right-handed batting Luke Allegretza.
Allegretza first pitch swinging, trying to get a quick jump on Schiebler, but fouls it back.
Might have gotten a piece of the catcher, Jack Webster. He popped up awkwardly out of the crouch. Took a brief stroll around, and it looks like now the coaching staff out to check on the KP backstop.
A couple of almost injury situations in this inning for King Philip. Of course, the first one, clanking Will Ware off a hard hit ball by Tamani over at shortstop, right in the head area, but he said he was fine, and now Pat Ware checking on his catcher, Jack Webster, in this at-bat. Another pitch to Allegretza, chopped over to Rhines at third base, or that is not Rhines anymore, excuse me, that is Stephen Murray, who went from pitcher to third base. So this could be a big at-bat in this ball game, could change momentum if Allegretza is able to come through with a hit. Instead, that pitch from Schiebler misses away. Allegretza 0 for 2 on the day so far, a strikeout swinging in the second. And he swings through another one, tags Allegretza, and that will retire the side. So Milford loads the bases but is unable to get anything off Murray and then Schiebler. So King Philip still leads 6-2. Only a couple more innings left for Milford to try to get those runs back. We'll be right back with coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Well, it took Alex Masick only 5 pitches to get through his last inning of work. An F8, an F9, and a 6-3 back in the 5th inning. And then a long wait for Masick, but his team was not able to get him any runs as they loaded the bases, but weren't able to scratch any around. So Masick is back out to work in the 6th inning, and again, first pitch swinging is Patrick Limerick. Cambrola calls off Gonzalez in left center, and that's the first out of the inning. So 6 pitches and 4 outs dating back to last inning for Alex Masick.
Milford really had the table set for a momentum shift through these last 2 innings. Masick getting the 1-2-3 frame in the top of the 5th, and the bases loaded for the Hawks in the bottom half, but again, just unable to come through with that key hit. And we talked about it last inning. That's now a total of 7 runners stranded on over the last 3 innings for the Scarlet Hawks.
So after the fly out to left for Limerick, in steps Colin Cook. So far 0 for 2 on the day is Cook. 1 out in this 6th inning as Cook grounds one over to Tamani, takes it on a big hop, throws across the diamond to Allegretza at first. And that one is in time for the 2nd out of the inning. Since that error Tamani made back in the 1st inning, on only the 3rd batter of the game, he's been pretty sure-handed over there.
Meanwhile, Colin Cook continues to be the only member of this King Philip lineup who has not reached base.
That breaking ball drops in to Jack Webster for strike 1. Masick looking for another quick 1-2-3 inning. And he's off to a good start, has a chance to do it now with an 0-2 count against Jack Webster. Webster singled in his last at-bat back in the 4th. Masick tries to get him fishing on the outside part of the plate, but not enticing enough for Webster. 1-2. That ball is flared down the right field line, but falls harmlessly into foul territory, and a good at-bat by Jack Webster. Webster is so far the only strikeout victim for Alex Masick. That strikeout came back in the 3rd inning. As Masick deals again, and Webster shoots that one out towards center field. Ranging under it is Ryan Gonzalez, and another 1-2-3 inning for Alex Masick and Milford. But Milford needs to do something with the bats now. Masick is giving him the pitching. Milford needs some offense. Down by 4 runs, 6-2 in favor of King Philip. We'll be right back with the 6th inning, bottom of the 6th inning on Milford TV. Jackson Schiebler back on the hill for King Philip after he took over for Stephen Murray with 2 outs in the 5th inning. He was able to get Luke Allegrezza swinging to end the bases loaded threat. And now with no runners on to begin this bottom of the 6th inning, he faces Kevin Cambrola. And he pumps that fastball on the outside part of the plate at the knees for strike 1. Cambrola so far on the day an RBI single back in the 4th inning. He also struck out looking in the 3rd. So that one from Schiebler bounces in the dirt, handled by Webster for ball 1. Cambrola swings and pops that one up over towards first base. Under it is Cook, and he retires Cambrola for the first out in the bottom of the 6th. King Philip still with double-barreled action down in their bullpen, clearly preparing for any sort of situation that might come their way. Of course, playing for their playoff lives. A win and they're in. A loss and their season is over as Tyler Renaud takes the ball outside for ball 1. 1-0 the count. Schiebler quick on the mound, delivers again, 2-0.
Schiebler coming a little awkwardly off the mound after that last pitch. Now goes over to fix that landing area in front of the mound.
A couple of King Philip players do have saves on this pitching staff. Another ball from Schiebler. Dan Antunes has a save on the season. Jeremy Rhines as well as Jack Webster. So if that's what King Philip is preparing for, this would not qualify as a save situation as the game stands right now, with King Philip holding a 6-2 lead as Schiebler pumps in a strike.
Antunes has been one of the arms loosening in the bullpen since the middle innings.
Tyler Renaud thought about swinging that time, is able to hold up, and that pitch is away. They do appeal down to the umpire. Pat Ware thought he did go, but Renaud is the first base runner of this inning.
And the second walk for Tyler Renaud out of the number 9 spot.
So the bottom of the order is doing their job getting on base, as it's back to the top with Ryan Gonzalez. So far, 1 for 2 on the day is Gonzalez. He's singled back in the 3rd. Grounded out to 5th. Grounded out to 5th, grounding out to 3rd in the 4th. As he sends this one, a shallow pop fly. Giving way is the second baseman, Gunther. And now the center fielder can't make the play. That was Coulter with the diving attempt, and really Gunther should have given that one a little bit more of an effort, backed off in favor of his outfielders. But that one was a very shallow fly ball. And probably chalk that one up as a hit. That was a tough play. Once Gunther wasn't giving an effort for that ball, that was a tough play for either Coulter or for Fari. So give Ryan Gonzalez his second hit of the day.
Yeah, I agree with that ruling, Anthony. It was a play that Gunther probably should have made at second base, and I think he knew it too. You saw him slap the glove in frustration after that ball ended up landing out in shallow right center.
The outfielders are playing particularly deep, but here at Pheno Field, you got to play a little bit deeper, because you let a ball get by you, it's just going to keep rolling.
Especially when you're up by 4 runs, you want to try to guard against those extra base hits.
Anthony Arcudi looks at a ball on the outside part of the plate that misses. Arcudi seems to be showing no signs of injury anymore from that ball he fouled off on his foot earlier in the game. As he now sends a fly ball, slams the bat in frustration. The infield fly rule is in effect. Runners will stay where they are, as Arcudi is the second out of the inning. Runners still at first and second. That's Renaud and Gonzalez. And now with Aiden Wild set to come to the plate, Coach Pat Ware clearly knows the situation of who's at the plate, and he's going to talk things over with Jackson Schiebler.
We saw a single out of Aiden Wild his last time up. Prior to that, he was hit by a pitch.
Now they'll bring in the shortstop, Will Ware, as part of this mound visit. And it will be Schiebler to stay on the mound to face the dangerous Aiden Wilds. Of course, we mentioned coming into today, second in the Hockomock League with a .447 batting average.
And they're going to give the intentional walk here, Anthony. And just like in the major leagues, we don't see the 4 pitches anymore. So getting the word from Coach Ware in the dugout, and they'll put Wild on here, opting to load the bases to face Zach Tamani rather than face Aiden Wild.
And that's not a rule I'm particularly fond of, not having to throw to the batter anymore. You never know what can happen in those situations, especially when Milford has 2 runners on. But that's why I'm not the baseball commissioner and I'm in the booth instead, as Tamani takes the ball in the dirt.
Well, for the record, I could not agree with you more, Anthony. I think it's a terrible rule change both at the major league level and here at the high school level.
And Tamani rips that one over the second baseman Gunther's head. 1 run will score. Now 2 runners are going to score. That's Gonzalez crossing the plate as Tamani with a single, 2-run single, reaches second base on the error in the outfield by Coulter. Wild goes all the way to third, and Milford continues to fight. Down now by only 2 runs, 6-4. And still threatening with their number 5 hitter, Alex Cody, up to the plate with runners on second and third.
And that has to feel good for Zach Tamani, watching King Philip opt for the intentional walk to put him at the plate, and he's able to produce in a big way.
Now lefty on lefty matchup as Cody spoils that one down the left field line, out of play for strike 1.
Tamani should still get 2 RBIs on the single. The error out in center field allowing Tamani to move up to second base.
And this is really a big spot in this game. Milford with only a couple outs remaining to have an opportunity to fight back in this game. They have already chipped in for 2 runs in this inning, courtesy of a Zach Tamani single to drive in 2 with the bases loaded. Now there's still 2 more out there. Those 2 would tie the game as Cody takes the ball on the outside part of the plate.
This is the first time Milford has really pushed back in this game. We'll see now if Schiebler gets a little shaky on the mound.
Cody swings right through that one. Kind of surprised Coach Pat Ware hasn't gone to the bullpen yet. He already went once to get Murray out of the game and got Schiebler. But now Schiebler running into some trouble, already allowed 2 runs as Cody grounds this one over to Genther at second base. Easily into the glove, and the throw to Cook at first ends the danger here in the 6th inning. But Milford does bring 2 across, cutting their lead in half. Now 6-4 in favor of King Philip. We'll be right back with the final frame unless Milford can tie things up later in this game, but it will be King Philip first. Top of the 7th coming up when we return right here on Milford TV. Top of the 7th here on Milford TV. Anthony Mazzini alongside Tim Coette. Thank you for spending part of your day watching this great matchup so far between Milford and King Philip. King Philip, of course, vying for a playoff spot, a win and they're in, a loss and they're out.
And we should mention, Anthony, an opportunity for us once again to bring live streaming coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. So a welcome to all of you who have been checking out the game today via the live stream app or on milfordtv.net. Make sure to check us out on social media. We always give updates prior to going live for any of our game coverage.
That one drops in for a strike from Masick. And for those updates you mentioned, you can follow either of us on Twitter. We usually tweet out before the game. Mazzini_Anthony for me. Tim, I'm not sure what your handle is. Genthner grounds that one over to Tamani. He fields it and throws across the diamond to Allegrezza at first for the first out of this 7th inning.
Always best to go straight to the source for our Milford TV social media updates. You can follow Milford TV directly on Twitter at Milford_TV. If you want to give me a follow as well, it's just my name, at Tim Coet, no spaces, no underscores. And a spelling test if you can figure out how to spell my last name.
That breaking ball drops in for strike one. A lot of vowels in that last name.
That's right.
You got to piece them together as to where they fit.
Every time you think you have all the vowels, you're usually missing one.
Masick misses low, 1-1 the count. King Philip up in this game by 2 runs, 6-4 after Milford cut into that lead. Last inning is that ball is bobbled over by Allegrezza at first base, but he sticks with it. Good perseverance that time from Allegrezza, flips to Masick.
And good awareness for Masick. Immediately springing off the mound to get over to cover the bag just in case. Looked initially like Allegrezza could make that play unassisted, but the bobble required the pitcher's help to complete the out.
A lot of times pitchers get caught watching the play unfold in front of them, but well rehearsed by Masick, and it pays off that time for the second out of the inning. And in steps Will Ware. Masick steps off, wants to go over the signs again with his catcher Aiden Wild.
Masick right now working on a string of 9 consecutive batters retired going back to the final out of the 4th inning.
As Ware flies this one out to right field, ranging and settling under it now is Renault. He does drop that ball, but it was on the transfer, say the umpires, and that will retire the side. This 3rd inning in a row where Alex Masick has gone 1-2-3. He's done his part, and now the Milford offense will need a couple more runs to tie this game if they want it to continue, or they can win it via a walk-off. We'll be right back with bottom of the 7th action right here on Milford TV. Well, if the game were to end right now, King Philip would find themselves in the playoffs. King Philip leads 6-4, but unfortunately for King Philip, the game is not over yet, as Jack Schiebler gets back on the mound again for this crucial 7th inning, having to deal with Alex Masick. King Philip vying for their playoff lives, coming into the game with a 9-10 record, needing one more win. This being their final game to clinch a playoff spot, as Schiebler misses high with that pitch to Masick. Milford has already clinched a playoff spot back on May 12th against Hopedale, but have lost 2 straight since and are in a position to lose another one here today, as Schiebler pumps that one in for a strike.
And obviously, as Masick leads off this inning, it was just the 2 troublesome innings for Masick in the 3rd and 4th, where King Philip did all of their offensive damage. As a matter of fact, those were the only 2 innings in which King Philip has collected any hits in this game.
And since getting battered around a little bit, Masick has gone 3 straight innings in the 5th, 6th, and 7th. 1-2-3, as he draws a walk this time. Strolling down to first base, and good sign for Milford with the lead runner on, down by 2 runs. Coach Pellegrini electing not to go with a pinch runner to get a little more speed on the base paths.
They will go with a pinch hitter, however, as Noah Montgomery grabs a bat, takes the place of Luke Allegrezza, who had been 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts.
Montgomery takes that one high. Only 3 at-bats so far, has yet to record a hit. Obviously, Coach Pellegrini sees something on the practice field that warrants an opportunity here for Noah Montgomery with limited action as he swings through that pitch for the first strike of the at-bat. And now he sends that one, a line drive over the 3rd baseman's head, and that one will fall for a hit. Noah Montgomery coming through with a big base hit in this bottom of the 7th inning. Milford now with 2 runners on, no outs. And now we will get a pinch runner.
And some great speed to bring off the bench as Tony Mobilia enters into the game to run for Montgomery. And just a terrific moment there for Noah. Obviously, he is a senior on this roster. He's worked extremely hard, has a great work ethic, a great attitude with this team, an opportunity to come in the late innings to contribute. A great opportunity for the senior.
And couldn't have picked a better opportunity for his first hit of the season. Is now Cambrola squares around. That's a great bunt. He could be safe at first base, and in fact he will be. Kevin Cambrola pushing that bunt up the first base line. Coach Pat Ware is now signaling to the bullpen. But Kevin Cambrola, a little bit of a mix between a sacrifice and a bunt for a hit.
Yeah, I would say he was bunting for a hit the whole way there, Anthony, and we've seen it all season long, just terrific bunting skills out of Cambrola, whether it's for a sacrifice, whether he's bunting for a hit, has great control over the ball, can push it to either direction, and there just picked a great spot, forced both the first baseman and the pitcher to have to field the ball. The second baseman coming over on the wheel play, but could not get the out in time over at first base. So how about this? The first three batters reach for Milford. They have the tying runs in scoring position, the potential winning run at first base, and nobody out here in the seventh.
And you got to think, for that bunt by Cambrola, the worst thing that could have happened was he was out at first base, and Milford still has two runners in scoring position with only one away. But instead, Milford is able to get the bases loaded now as Cambrola beats that one out at first base. Just really an excellent bunt. Forced the first baseman Cook off the bag. And with great speed down the line, Cambrola is able to beat that one out. And now we'll get a pitching change, as this will be David Morganelli coming into the game for the Warriors. And while he takes his warm-up tosses, we'll take a quick break here on Milford TV. King Philip leading in this ball game 6-4 in the bottom of the seventh inning, but Milford is threatening, no outs, bases loaded. We'll be right back with the ending of this game right here on Milford TV. So King Philip goes to the bullpen, and it is David Morganelli coming out of the bullpen for King Philip, and what a spot he has to deal with. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the bottom of the order, the last member of this Milford lineup, Tyler Renault, is at the plate. Renault so far has been consistent getting on base after striking out in the third. He has walked his last two at-bats. And a big spot for both the pitcher and the hitter is Renault. First pitch swinging, slices that one down the right field line into the stands for strike one.
And you know, this is a situation Renault desperately wants to come through in. It's been a tough season for Tyler, unable to get onto the mound due to that labrum issue, trying to contribute now with the bat.
Only batting .200 on the season, but a big time to turn it around right now, as Coach Pellegrini does not like that call, but Morganelli gets the strike. 0-2 to Tyler Renault. Ryan Gonzalez on deck for Milford. Morganelli with the pitch. That one misses high for ball one. Corner infielders are playing on the grass for the Warriors, hoping to cut down that runner, but the middle infielders are at double play depth. Morganelli comes set. Here's his 1-2. Breaking ball had Renault buckling at the knees. Great pitch that time from David Morganelli. And obviously, nerves aren't a factor for him. Gets the first strikeout and the first out of this inning. Bases still loaded. And in steps Ryan Gonzalez. First pitch swinging as well. Handcuffed him a little bit. Fights that one off down the first base line.
And going back to that strikeout of Tyler Renault, just a terrific pitch from Morganelli. It started right in towards Renault and cut back towards the inside part of the plate.
Gonzalez now. That ball brings it to a 1-1 count. Good day so far for Gonzalez, 2 for 3. Singles in the third and the sixth. He also walked in the first and grounded out to third back in the fourth. And he grounds that one right back to Morganelli, sends it home to get the out at home. So no run will score. Masick is cut down at the plate. Morganelli a little bit indecisive of what to do with that ball at first. Looked like he wanted to go right to first base to get the out. But good leadership from behind the plate from Jack Webster. yelling out to his pitcher saying, "Come home, come home." So instead of Milford getting a run, now 2 outs. No runs to show for it after having the bases loaded this entire inning. And it'll take the heroics of Anthony Arcudi as he sends that one out towards left field, but right at the left fielder Limerick. And that is that. You can't hit it much harder than Anthony Arcudi hit it right there. But David Morganelli does his job coming out of the bullpen. And what a moment for the King Philip Warriors. Winning their 10th game of the season here at Pheno Field. And as a result, King Philip finds themselves in the tournament yet again, defeating Milford by a final score of 6-4. And Tim, you look back over the course of this game, King Philip led for most of it, but Milford certainly had their opportunities throughout the course of the game, especially in this last inning. Bases loaded, no outs.
Yeah, just Milford unable to capitalize on their chances over the course of this game. They had runners on in virtually every inning with the exception of the second. They had the bases loaded in the 5th as well as here in the 7th inning, so you end up taking a look at it at the end of the day. They ended up having 12 runners stranded, 13 runners stranded in all over the course of the day today. So they had their opportunities, none better than here in the 7th inning to see them load the bases with nobody out here in the 7th inning and fail to score a single run. Just a disappointing game on the Milford side as their losing streak now goes to 3, and a much different emotion over on the King Philip side of the field.
And as you mentioned, a much different emotion. King Philip getting into the playoffs again this season after winning the Kelly Rex. Last year, they lost some of their stars. It's been a tough season so far, but at the end of the day, King Philip getting to that 500 mark, a 10-10 record, pushing them into the playoffs. They needed this win. It was their last game of the season, so King Philip finds their way into the playoffs with a 6-4 win over Milford. And as you mentioned as well, Tim, Milford dropping their 3rd straight contest. Of course, that dates back to North Attleboro a few weeks ago. They dropped that game as well as to Catholic Memorial, and now by a final score of 6-4, they fall to King Philip. So Milford will look to get back into the win column this week. Quick turnaround for Milford. They play tomorrow at Foxborough, so that'll be a game that Milford looks to win. Foxborough struggling as well this season. Foxborough coming in 4th in the in the Davenport, I should say, with a 6-13 record. So, Tim, this is a game that Milford should be able to come away with a win. And then you look even the next game against Sharon, also struggling. We mentioned that dilemma there with senior prom, but Milford could have the potential to come away with 2 wins to close out the season after they've dropped 3.
2 very winnable games, but unfortunately they've let a couple slip away here, so hoping to get back on track here to close out the season with 2 final games before the playoffs begin.
So that'll close out our coverage here from Pheno Field today. For everyone here at Milford TV, my broadcast partner Tim Coette, camera operators Rob O'Keefe, and our producer Tim Rossetti, I should say. I am Anthony Mazzini. The final score here from Pheno Field in Milford, 6-4. King Philip comes away with a victory and finds their way into the playoffs. Milford has dropped 3 in a row. This has been a presentation of Scarlet Hawks Athletics on Milford TV. Until next time, everyone.